Ave Maria. Today, in the extraordinary rite of the Church, we celebrate the feast day of St Philomena, Virgin and Mother. So today we are going to look at her story and how she came to be known and how you can be a devotee to St Philomena. So we shall start with the story. Who is St Philomena? St Philomena was born as a daughter of a prince in Greece, in a small state of Greece. So her father was a prince ruling in Greece, but they were pagans. And being pagans, they didn't have a kid. So they did all kinds of sacrifices for their pagan gods, but the kid was not forthcoming. So one time, a Catholic doctor convinced the parents of Philomena to convert to Catholicism. So they were baptized, and soon after their conversion, they got a child. So at her birth, she was called Lumena, which means light. Then at her baptism, her full name became Philomena, which means daughter of light. At around the age of 7, Saint Philomena made a vow of virginity to Jesus Christ. Then later, when she was 13 years old, there was a threat of war from the Roman Empire, and the emperor at that time was Diocletian, who killed many of the martyrs of the Catholic Church. So the parents of Philomena traveled to Rome to make peace with the emperor of Rome, and they took along Philomena, who was 13 years at the time. When they reached the Roman Empire, when they reached the Roman capital, the emperor assured them that there was no war between him and them. And he actually assured them that all the armies of Rome were at their disposal, but on one condition: if they gave her Philomena as a wife. So the parents traveled back and they tried to convince Philomena to allow to be the emperor's wife. But Philomena refused because she had made a vow of virginity to Jesus Christ. So what happens next? These parents go back to Rome with Philomena and they tell the emperor that the daughter has refused to be married. And the emperor first flattered her, gave her gifts and material possessions. He assured her that she was going to be the empress, but Philomena was steadfast in her refusal. And so in the end, the emperor was enraged, and so he threw her into prison for 37 days, after which he thought she would have changed her mind, but the little girl refused to change her mind. So the emperor was again enraged, and so he ordered that she should be stripped of her clothes and scourged like Jesus. So she was scourged, and her body became a mess of wounds, and she was thrown back into prison. In prison, 2 angels came and put some balm on her body, and she was miraculously cured. So the next day, when the emperor ordered that she be brought before him, he found when she was totally cured. And so he thought maybe it was one of his gods, but Philomena refused. Once again offers for marriage. So this time the emperor got an anchor. An anchor is what they used to tie ships to the bottom of the ocean. So it was tied around her neck. If you look at this statue, you can see this anchor right here, tied over her neck and thrown into the Tiber River, which is in Rome, so that she would drown. But what happened is that 2 angels came and got her. They cut the anchor, which fell down into the river, and they put her on the river bank, and she was so dry, there was no water on her body or her clothes. This amazed many of the people who were spectating, and they turned into Catholics. Again, the king was enraged. So he dragged her through Rome while they were shooting arrows at her. And thinking that she was about to die, he threw her into jail again. Philomena got into a very good sleep, and in the morning she woke up cured again. So by the time the emperor saw her in the morning, she was very okay. So the guy was again enraged. So this time he ordered that she be shot again with arrows. So when the archers tried to shoot at her, the arrows refused to leave the bow. So he called some of his magicians, and they brought fire so that they would fire at her with arrows that were on fire. So when the archers shot, the arrows reached midway in the air and returned back. So 6 archers were killed instantly. More people got converted. The king, the emperor, was enraged, and eventually they cut off her head, and that's how Philomena was martyred. But all this is not in any history, not in any book. This came to be known after her body was discovered, actually her tomb. So in 1802, archaeologists were digging the catacombs of St. Priscilla, where they found a new tomb that had never been discovered before, with the names of Philomena. And so they brought the person in the Vatican who is in charge of these things, and they started investigating which person, which matter, because there was a crown of martyrdom, the arrows, and then a palm leaf, and the names. So they started investigating. So what happens, they found out that the martyr was called Philomena, but they didn't know the story of her martyrdom. So they kept her remains in Rome. So one bishop had always wanted relics of a martyr for his diocese. He was called Don Francisco de Lucia. So this guy comes to Rome looking for relics, and then he hears about Philomena, and he wanted relics of a virgin martyr. So he was very much interested, and he asked that he takes the remains of Philomena to Mugnano in Italy. That's where his parish was, so that he could effect conversion. Now, as soon as he got the relics, miracles started happening. By the time the remains of Philomena reached Mugnano parish in Italy, miracles were already pouring. And when they reached, again more miracles, people got healed, conversions, people who were spiritually dead came back to the sacraments. So many miracles took place for around 36 years. So during this time, there was a holy woman in France called Pauline Jaricot, who had a terrible heart disease, and at the advice of Saint Jean-Marie Vianney, was told to go to Mugnano to get healing from St. Philomena. So this lady passed Rome, where she met Pope Gregory XVI. Her condition was so terrible that the Pope was convinced that she would die even before she reached Mugnano. So this lady told the Pope that if I make it back alive and healed, you will promote the devotion of St. Philomena, and Pope Gregory XVI agreed. When she came back, it was classified. She went to Milano and they prayed, and she got recovered, she got cured completely. When she went back to Rome, the Pope was shocked, and he classified it as a first-class miracle because he saw it with his own eyes. And so that's how the devotion of Saint Philomena started. She took some of the relics back to Saint Jean-Marie Vianney in a statue, and we know that all the miracles of Saint Jean-Marie Vianney were attributed to Saint Philomena. Whenever you come to him with an issue, he will tell you to go to a statue of Saint Philomena and pray before it. So, miracles also happened in France, they happened in Italy. In 1837, Pope Gregory XVI issued a solemn pontifical decree along with veneration and mass, and the liturgical feast was placed on August 11th, which is today. And the subsequent popes also promoted the veneration of St Philomena, Blessed Pius IX, St Leo XIII, and St Pope Pius X. So St Gregory XVI called her the great wonder worker of the 19th century. So in the 1960s, the liturgical feast of St Philomena was removed from the church because there was no historical proof of St Philomena. The story that I told you at the beginning was communicated in a vision to 3 different people who had no knowledge of each other, and all the details were matching. That's how the church proved that the story was true. But in the 60s, it was removed from the liturgical feasts of the church. So today, the church celebrates the feast day of St. Clare of Assisi. But before the 60s, today was a feast day of St. Philomena. So, with all the miracles, with all the cures and the incredible story that we just heard, I would like to call upon you to become a devotee of St. Philomena. And how do you become a devotee to St. Philomena? One, you can get an image of her, like this one behind me, or a statue, like this one, and you put it on your altar. You can use on her photos on social media so that you promote her devotion. You can pray her chaplet. She has a little chaplet which you can even pray daily in honor of Saint Philomena. The rosary looks like this. It has 13 red beads because she was martyred at the age of 13, and the 3 white beads are in honor of the Holy Trinity. So on the middle of Saint Philomena, you pray the creed. On the 3 white beads, you pray 1 Our Father each, so those are 3. And on each of the red beads, you pray the Hail Mary. Then at the end, you say, O Saint Philomena, pray for us. Then another way you can be a devotee is to join the Holy Rosary, because she's the patroness of the Living Rosary, which was started by Pauline Jaricourt, who is, I think, now venerable. She's on her way to be saint. And she's the patroness of children of Mother Mary, and also the patroness of the Living Rosary. Thank you very much.